Hello, and welcome to this channel, Highly Sensitive Wisdom. My name is Susanna, and today's topic is how to transcend the hamster wheel. So in a previous video, we were talking about frequencies. Everything is energy, and explaining the different levels of energy. And if you haven't watched that video yet, I'll put the link in the description, and I highly encourage you to watch that video. There are also previous videos about decoding the matrix. So the hamster wheel is part of the matrix. And in the video, I want to explain and, analyze both the effects of being, trapped in a hamster wheel. And then obviously the more important question is, how do we get out of it? And not in the sense of escaping it, but rather transcending it. And that is important to make that distinction. I will soon tell you why. But first things first. So if you enjoy this content, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a like, and leave your, aha moments in the comments section, both to inspire others watching this video and also to let the algorithm of YouTube know that this content is valuable, so that YouTube can recommend it to more people. So thank you in advance for that. So in the previous video, I shared a book with you that some of you will be familiar with, and for some it will be, novelty and maybe a huge revelation, because this book truly transformed my life and made it so much better. And the mere fact of reading it will already, raise your frequency. And it is Power versus Force by psychiatrist Dr. David R. Hawkins. The Power versus Force, and the subtitle is The Hidden Determinants of Human Behavior. So I read the part, a passage of this book, and also explain in detail the scale of consciousness that Dr. David R. Hawkins created in the previous video. So please watch that if you want to dive deeper. So today, a hamster wheel, just so that we, are talking about the same thing. That is usually referred to, feeling very stuck in your work life and your career and your life situation as an adult, especially when you have been around for a while, and you realize that it doesn't really matter how much you run or how hard you work or how much you try to apply yourself, because you're still in a stuck place where you feel that it doesn't really matter what I do because I'm just turning in circles. So that animal, the hamster, running in its wheel. Yeah, if you have ever observed a hamster running in that wheel, you will see that it truly doesn't matter how much it runs or how fast it runs, because running faster just makes the wheel spin faster, but it's still stuck in the wheel. And so it's kind of a cage, that would be the image. So the matrix has some level of genius to it, and that is that it is self-reinforcing. So the matrix counts on our ignorance. It counts on us not knowing ourselves deep enough, so that we won't understand, what is being done to us. And also we will be stuck many times in situations that are stressful to us or cause fear or anxiety or even panic. And then we'll be so focused on getting rid of those emotional states and getting rid of those symptoms that our bodies will manifest to alert us about the situation, so that we will not see the mechanism and the forces behind all that. We will be stuck in tunnel vision, in a very limited vision of reality, and being focused mainly on ourselves. So we will be, what some would call, being egocentric. And that is by design, because the ego has one purpose, and that is to make sure we stay alive. That's the main purpose of ego. It's a survival mechanism. So we should not despise the ego and say, oh, ego is all bad, we have to kill the ego. No, if you kill the ego, you also kill yourself, because the ego keeps you alive. But yeah, we wouldn't want to live only from the ego. We would want to transcend to higher levels of frequency and higher levels of consciousness. And in order to transcend the hamster wheel, we would need to work on our frequencies also and our levels of consciousness, because otherwise, we will just be spinning around in that wheel, and we will just be turning around in circles, and we will just be discovering more and more stuck places, and we will be frustrated. And this became very clear to me when I was living in France, working in Paris. I've spoken a lot about that, and that's because my consciousness evolved so much, so fast. It was truly conscious. A pressure cooker for my consciousness. I had never felt as stuck as I did when I lived there. And therefore, I'd also never been that motivated to learn the mechanism, below the surface, below our conscious awareness, the level of our conscious awareness. And I had never before been so passionate about personal growth. I had always been interested in spirituality ever since I was a child and a teenager. And I had always been, applying myself, trying to be the best version of myself and trying to be excellent in everything I do. And go all in. And and I've also spoken previously about my burnout, because that was, if you go all in and you always apply yourself in all circumstances, in all contexts, with all kinds of people, and you're always trying to excel in everything you do, you will get burnt out, because that's part of the design of the hamster wheel, which is a significant mechanism to the matrix to keep us stuck. That's by design. So we live in a system that is, burning us out, that is creating constant stress, that is, dividing us, according to the principle of Machiavelli, divide and conquer. So we are, we have to compete against each other, and we have to be, divided and polarized, and we have to look on others with a lack of trust. Like we have to think that, oh, they have a hidden agenda, like they are manipulating me and they want something from me, and I want to give that to them. And to some extent that is true, because when we are forced to play this game in the matrix, that's a by effect or a side effect of that is like a ripple effect of the mechanisms, but it doesn't come from us originally. It's by design of the entire system. And then obviously there are individual aspects, like your set of values, your character, your personality trait. If you're a spiritual person or a materialist, what kind of experiences you have had previously. If you have been through a lot of trauma, all those kinds of individual experiences shape our subjectivity. And by that, I mean our own personal, subjective approach to life and what the world is all about. So there are so many different levels and layers that are working simultaneously to keep us stuck. But as I said in the beginning, the main factor that makes the matrix so self-reinforcing is ignorance, because we don't know ourselves deeply enough. So we don't know how to get out of it or how to transcend it, because the problem already has a seed for a solution within itself. That's one of the paradoxes of life. When you have problems, if you focus on problems, you'll have more problems, because your mind is a magnifying glass. But if you can see that in each problem, the seed for the solution is already inside the problem, and you focus on on finding the solutions, things start to shift. So being in the hamster wheel is immensely stressful, both physically and psychologically and emotionally, and spiritually, because when you are stuck in material concerns all the time, it's difficult to carve out time to be spiritual and to focus on your meditation and your inner work and all those things, because that's an active choice to carve out time for that is not, so to speak, given to you. What is given to you is like, here you have to work because you have to make money, because you have bills to pay. And as an adult, you're responsible for your own life situation. No one will pay anything for you. You have to pay everything yourself. And you have to take care of all the things yourself, unless you delegate to someone else. But often when we delegate to someone else, we have to pay them for doing it for us. Unless you find really supportive people and partners to partner up with. But yeah, essentially, we are indoctrinated to believe that we are alone, isolated, separated from everyone else, and that all the responsibility is ours. And that is quite a heavy burden to carry, especially when the system is rigged against us to make us fall in different pitfalls. And then, like, oh, you should have seen that coming. You should have understood that. You should have known better. All those kinds of passive aggressive, despising, condescending comments and feedback that are not at all constructive or helpful or supportive in any way. Yeah, I experienced a lot of that in France. I've seen it first. I've experienced it and seen it firsthand in 7 years. Those were 7 very long and very hard years. But yeah, that taught me a lot about how the system works. And since I was so motivated to leave France, I also understood that I will be stuck here until I do my inner work, deeply enough and to find the keys within myself to get out of, to leave this place, because otherwise I could be stuck here for decades. And that is often what happens to many people, that if they don't look inwards and work on themselves and their energy and their subconsciously held beliefs and so forth, they can be stuck for a very long time. And the circumstances can look different, like a different workplace, a different city they live in, or a different friend group, or a different romantic partner, or the amount of money in the bank account could vary. But essentially, it's the same thing if the inside is not changed and transformed. Yeah, you will tend to repeat cycles and patterns and be stuck in old patterns, and you don't understand, like, oh, why is this always happening to me? Yeah, there's something in your consciousness. And we saw that in last video, that in the book by Dr. David R. Hawkins, Power versus Force, he explains in this book that what we hold in our consciousness manifests in our physical reality or our material world. So if there are things in your consciousness, and I don't say this to judge you by any means, I say this to empower you. I hope the message is clear. I don't want to judge anyone. I want to help you and empower you and, uplift you. And in order to do that, I have to point out some things that may be working against you, just like they did to me back in the day. So if what is manifested in your physical material reality is something you don't want, and you observe repeating cycles or the same patterns over and over and over again, that's because something in your consciousness is creating those patterns, and you need to look inwards to change those patterns. And usually that is done by subconscious reprogramming the belief code, and also doing emotional work and release your emotional baggage. And that we can do with the emotion code. I'm certified in both the emotion code, body code, and the belief code. But it is also about carving out time, as I also mentioned in this video, because the hamster wheel, what it does, it keeps us always running and also in a state of stress. So what stress and chronic stress especially does to our bodies and minds is that our bodies will always be in a state of alert. So yeah, you already know this, everyone knows this, I guess, especially people interested in personal growth. But there is the rest and digest part of the nervous system, and then there is the fight or flight or freeze part. So there is the response, the part of the nervous system responsible for responding in a way that we can very fast take action to either fight a threat, flee from the threat, or just freeze and play dead, so that whatever predator is attacking us will lose interest because they think we are dead and they will leave us alone. And then the other, that is rest and digest, that's a part of the nervous system that is responsible for rest and recovery, restoring and healing both tissues in your body that may be damaged from stress. Make sure that, because your body is a living, well, that is also kind of obvious, but we don't really stop to think what are the implications. Our body is a living, breathing, conscious being, and your body is, on an ongoing basis renewing her or himself, themselves. So your body is constantly working, trying to heal themselves. They see themselves in a neutral gender identity sense. So your body is constantly trying to repair themselves and heal themselves, because your body was designed to do that. Your body was designed to heal themselves. And usually, if we were living in a less stressful environment, and in an environment truly aligned with who we are and what our purpose is as, spiritual beings in a human body, souls on planet Earth carrying out a mission, if we were living in an environment aligned with nature and the divine will and the universal laws, then we wouldn't have all these problems. We wouldn't have all these stress-related issues. We wouldn't have all the, well, stress can cause so much. You know this already. Like insomnia, like anxiety, panic attacks, depression, high blood pressure. And if that continues over time, which is often the case, eventually you'll have problems with your heart. In some cases, people are extremely stressed over, an extended period of time, like decades. Their heart will eventually stop because it will just be overloaded, or they will have a stroke in their brain because their brain will simply be overloaded and overstressed. But those things don't happen overnight. That's an accumulated effect over time, and usually over decades of time. So we often associate, like, oh, the older you are, you have more problems because of age. No, that's not because of age. That's because of the lifestyle you had, and the repetitive chronic exposure to stress, and the lack of rest and recovery in a doses high enough to repair all the damage the stress caused. So we will have all these problems, both physical and psychological and emotional, because we are constantly running in this hamster wheel. We are constantly in a state of chronic stress, and in some phases of life there could be more acute phases of stress. But what is really, really damaging for your well-being, for your existence, is a chronic stress, because your body never really gets a chance to slow down and to rest and recover and to heal themselves and to repair tissues and even eliminating toxins. You need to be in a state of rest for that also. That's part of the rest and digest cycle. That's not part of the being alert all the time and being stressed out and prepared to fight off threats all around you. The elimination of toxins and detox processes of your body also happen when you are in a state of rest. So with a lot of stress, we have all these symptoms that our bodies and minds produce to try to alert us that, hey, you need some attention here. Something's going on. We are not well. You have to do something. And then we go to the medical doctors, and they will just prescribe some pills for us to take to suppress the symptoms. But the underlying causes are still operating, and then we just accumulate more and more and more stress, and more symptoms, and more disease in our bodies. And then one day we wake up and we are diagnosed with, cancer or whatever, a really serious ailment, because we haven't listened to our bodies and minds along the way. But I don't judge you for that, because the system was designed to do that, just that, to have your focus externally all the time, so that you don't get a chance to rest, recover, and heal yourself. And then also, one of the mechanisms that make this hamster wheel so reinforcing is that, like, basically everyone is doing it. The masses are trapped in this hamster wheel. So then there is also, in addition to the stress of the actual, conditions of having to always run against the clock and always be productive and always perform well and always have a lot of pressure on us all the time in the marketplace, because otherwise someone else will take your place and you will be replaced, basically. Then there is all the group pressure, because obviously there are people who would want to slow down, who would want to have calmer lifestyle, who would want to take time for themselves. But then they also have to face a lot of judgments and criticisms from others, who are also stressed out, tired, maybe burnt out, maybe unhappy in their workplace, maybe unfulfilled in their careers. Maybe they don't have enough money, for sustaining the lifestyle they would want for themselves. So there are a lot of people who are frustrated and passive aggressive, and instead of working on themselves, they just project it onto others. So there will be a lot of group pressure and peer pressure, like, oh, you have to be productive all the time. Like when I got burnt out, I got so much judgments and criticisms for that. Like, oh, people were accusing me basically of being lazy. Like, no, there's nothing lazy about this. I have been, working my ass off, and here are the consequences from that. And now my body is screaming, I need rest. I need to heal myself. There's nothing lazy about that. And because I took my healing journey very seriously, because as I said, I go all in. So when I decide to do something, I go all in or I don't do it. Yeah. So the same thing with the healing journey. I went all in and learned everything I possibly could. And that's why I have so much, wisdom to share with you now on this channel, because I did my inner work. I took my healing journey seriously. And no matter what people accuse me of, like being lazy or being unproductive or being, I don't know, on vacation, which was absolutely not true. That was another kind of stuckness. Being in the hamster wheel is one kind of stuckness. Being burnt out and facing struggles every single day with just simple tasks. That is another kind of stuckness. But the difference is that I made a radical commitment to heal myself on all levels. And that's when I got, far enough in my healing journey, that's when I started seeing the bigger picture. And that's when I started connecting the dots and seeing the cause and effect, and started to see that, yeah, we are being controlled and manipulated on a massive scale, and it's by design to keep us there. And then you have, and this no one tells us either, then there are universal laws that also reinforce what's in our consciousness. So like if you have low frequency energies in your system, and then again, I encourage you to watch the previous video about that, because I won't have time to explain that again in this video. But if you're already in a low vibrating frequency, and by design, if you're stressed out, tired, or even burnt out, by definition, you are in a low frequency state at that point. The universal laws will keep sending you experiences and people that match that state of your low frequency. That's also why it's so difficult to get out, and you can get so stuck, because not only do you have to deal with all the symptoms and all the fatigue and all the stress and all the resentment, you're also attracting more of the same, because that matches your state. So all these mechanisms together create a reality for us where we can get very stuck. You see, it's self-reinforcing, both by the mechanism of the actual system, the actual matrix, but also from the universal forces that no one ever teaches us about, in school or at university or wherever education is being provided. No one ever tells us this. We have to find that information for ourselves, that there are universal laws at work that are also reinforcing what's in our consciousness, whether we chose or not to get into that state. So we have to climb, climb and climb and climb, and it will be a struggle at first, because we have accumulated so much stress and fatigue and those kind of things. But yeah, it gets easier over time. So how to transcend the hamster wheel? Yeah, it's basically that you need to carve out time from your schedule and make new priorities, not keep running and running, and keep doing having those habits and making the same priorities over and over again. Because if in the past your priorities and your choices back then caused you to be in this depleted state, it's not doing more of the same that will change the situation for you. You have to do something else. And Albert Einstein famously said that a problem cannot be solved on the same level that it was created. So yeah, in one sense, the seed for the solution is already within the problem. So yeah, it can be interesting to study the problem to find the seed and the key for the solution, but we still have to up level a bit, our approach, our perspective to actually solve it. So for instance, if the problems are on a material physical level, you can up level, by focusing on the spiritual energetic side of things. And that will also help you get out of it. So what I did, and what I recommend you do too, is that you look inwards, you do your inner work, and I'm more than happy to help you as a certified practitioner in emotion code, body code, and the belief code. And I will leave my link in the description so you can schedule a free consultation call with me. So what I did, and what I recommend that you do too, is that you carve out time in your schedule. You give priority to yourself. You give priority to activities of rest and recovery and healing. Give priority to things that, no matter what others say, or no matter what others' opinions are, those are irrelevant, because they are not in your shoes. They are not living your life. They are living their life according to their belief systems, and according to their values, and according to their character, according to their habits, according to their network, according to their role in this world. And usually those are all different from yours. So you can't really compare. Stop comparing yourself. That will only drag you down. So carve out time for rest, recovery, meditation, spending time in nature, and doing your inner work. Because without the inner work, as I said, what you're holding in your consciousness will keep manifesting your physical reality. So if you hold things in your consciousness that are weighing you down, you have to get rid of those. And that's also when you will connect the dots. So subconscious reprogramming, the belief code, is the first thing I would do after you reorganize your calendar and you make other priorities, and you make yourself a priority, and you carve out time. And at first glance it seems impossible. Like, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have so many responsibilities, I have so many duties, I have a calendar just full of duties, and it could feel like at first glance that there's no way I could reorganize this, there's no way I could get out of this. But ponder this for a moment. If you don't make space for your healing and your well-being and your health, then what will happen eventually is that you will get really ill, really sick, and you will end up in the hospital, and then you will be forced to stop. So the universal laws will work in their way regardless of what's happening to you. The matrix will do everything to keep us stuck running forever in a hamster wheel without ever getting a chance to see a way out. So there are already forces working against you, and if you play along with that, it works on the short term, but in the long run, you will sabotage things for yourself. So if you can just shut off the voices from others and the opinions from others, and just, now, I give priority to myself and my healing, and because this is my life, you make that priority. This is my life, and I live it my way. And then you carve out time and you invest into your healing. That's when the magic starts happening. And I don't say magic like black magic, absolutely not. I mean, magic in a positive sense, like it feels like miracles, like I never knew that there was so much inside me that the key was already inside me all the time, all along. I just didn't know it yet. And I can help you see that, because when you are running in the hamster wheel, you have tunnel vision, and with all of those symptoms in your body, or the stress symptoms in your body, you will constantly have a sense of urgency, and that makes us also make decisions that are not good for us in the long run. That will make us give priority to the wrong things and the wrong people, and also we will lose a lot of money, from incomes we could have had if we were not that stressed out, because money is also an energy, and it's an energy of lightness. So if you're already super stressed and always working way too hard and hustling and being stressed out all the time, that will actually repel money. Did you know that? So it's not because you work harder that you will earn more. That's what the matrix makes us believe. But energy is in and of itself an energy, and it's an energy of lightness. So when you learn to relax and you learn to take things less seriously, and you learn to live a more balanced lifestyle, and you learn to integrate meditation and quality time in nature regularly, and you carve out time for your healing journey, and you invest in having someone help you to accelerate your results and to see things, your blind spots that you can't see for yourself yet. You will see them eventually, but by the time you pay someone to help you, that's because you have blind spots that you don't see, but they can see them and point them out for you and help you transcend them. So that is the path to transcend the hamster wheel, so that you don't have to be running forever. And the more stillness you invite into your life, also the more connection you will have with the divine, the more clearly you will see God's presence in your life, because God is unconditional love, God is peace, God is stillness, God is silence. And as long as we are running and the world is so noisy and crowded, and all of these side effects of having so many people in the world being constantly stressed out, it's difficult to hear the voice of God and feel God's presence in your life. So that is also a really, really nice bonus from doing your inner work and slowing down and looking inwards, that relationship will deepen, as an effect of that. And then you can also receive guidance for your future decisions and your future steps on your path. And things truly get more, more serene, easier, and also more fulfilling. You'll have a more rich life experience. And you will see that, there's so much beauty in life and so much beauty all around us that we miss because we have this tunnel vision. And we have, the horses running races, they have things to the side of their eyes, because horses don't see in front of them, they see in the sides. So when the jockey puts, these things to their eyes, the horse doesn't see anything. It is running, blindly, and only relying on the instructions from the jockey or from the rider. And that's us running, endlessly in the hamster wheel. So we have to slow down, and we have to carve out the time to take these off, to open our vision, like, oh, I can see now, I can see clearly now. Changes everything. Yeah. So I hope you will accept this invitation to invest in yourself, slow down, take a leap of faith, Yeah, it's a really exciting journey. I hope this was inspiring. I will keep recording videos for you, and I would love to connect with you. So please reach out. And you take care, and I will talk to you soon again. Bye for now.